The Desperate Call. The twin suns of the Zalarian home system cast their golden light across the crystalline cities below. For 3,000 years, the Zalarian people had lived in harmony with their world and the few neighboring species they had encountered. Their civilization was built on knowledge, art, and the gentle pursuit of understanding the universe around them. They had no armies, no warships, no weapons designed to kill. They had never needed them. Until today. High Counselor Nerith stood in the central chamber of the Grand Assembly, her silver skin reflecting the emergency lights that now pulsed the building. Her people's bioluminescent patterns, normally bright with calm blues and greens, flickered with the deep reds and purples of fear and desperation. Around her, the 12 members of the Zalarian Council watched the holographic display with growing horror. The display showed their orbital defense platforms burning in space. The platforms had been designed to deflect asteroids and debris, not to fight warships. The enemy had destroyed them in minutes. Now, 47 massive vessels surrounded their world, each one bristling with weapons that had already reduced 3 of their orbital habitats to scattered debris. "How many have we lost?" Nerith asked quietly, though she feared the answer. Sub-Counselor Thrace consulted his data terminal, his hands trembling. Orbital Station 7 housed 40,000 souls. Station 12 had 35,000. Station 4 was home to 50,000. His voice broke. They gave no warning, no demands. They simply fired. The enemy called themselves the Vorton Dominion. They had appeared at the edge of the Zalarian system 6 days ago, their fleet moving with the confidence of predators who had never known defeat. Their first communication had been simple and brutal: submit or die. The Zalarians had tried diplomacy, offered resources, requested negotiation. The Vortons had responded by destroying their outer defense stations. Counselor Marin stepped forward, her elderly form moving with difficulty. She had served on the council for 60 years and had never imagined she would face such a crisis. "We must consider surrender. Perhaps if we give them what they want, they will spare our people." "They want everything," Thrace replied bitterly. Their message was clear. Submit means slavery. Every Zalarian becomes property of the Dominion. Our children will be raised as soldiers for their wars. Our scientists will build weapons for their conquests. Our world will become another resource to fuel their empire. Nerith looked at the faces of her fellow counselors. She saw fear, yes, but also determination. The Zalarian people were peaceful, but they were not cowards. "Then we have only one choice remaining. We must call for help." The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what she meant. For decades, rumors had spread across the galaxy about a species that had emerged from a small yellow star on the edge of explored space. They called themselves humans. Stories about them varied wildly. Some said they were peaceful traders. Others claimed they were fierce warriors. Most species avoided them, uncertain what to believe. "The humans," Counselor Vex said slowly. "We know so little about them. They might ignore our call. They might be as dangerous as the Vortons." "Or they might be our only hope," Nerith replied. "I have read the reports. 20 years ago, the Crixian raiders attacked a human colony world. 300 raiders against one small settlement. The humans sent one ship. Within hours, the raider fleet was destroyed. Not scattered, not defeated, destroyed. Every single ship." "That could be propaganda," Marin suggested weakly. "Perhaps, but we have no other options. Our defense fleet consists of 12 explorer ships with mining lasers. The Vortons have 47 warships, each one powerful enough to crack our world open. We either call for help or we watch our civilization end." The vote was unanimous. Within an hour, Nerith stood before the quantum communication array, the most advanced piece of technology the Zalarians possessed. It could send messages across vast distances through subspace, reaching civilizations hundreds of light years away. The technicians had programmed it to broadcast toward human space, repeating their message on all frequencies. Nerith took a deep breath and began speaking. This is High Counselor Nerith of the Zalarian people. Our world is under attack by the Vorton Dominion. They have destroyed our orbital habitats and killed over 100,000 of our people. They demand our complete surrender and enslavement. We are a peaceful species with no military capability. We ask for help from anyone who can hear this message. We ask for help from humanity. Please, if you can hear us, we are dying. The message broadcast into the void of space, traveling faster than light toward distant stars. The Zalarians could only hope someone would answer. The Vorton bombardment continued. 3 days later and 150 light-years away, Admiral Sarah Chen sat in her ready room aboard the UEDS Thunderstrike, reviewing patrol reports. The United Earth Defense Fleet had spent decades establishing humanity's presence in the galaxy. They protected human colonies, escorted merchant vessels, and made it clear that humanity would not be intimidated by aggressive species. Chen was a veteran of the frontier wars, where human forces had crushed 3 different hostile species that had mistaken humanity's diplomatic efforts for weakness. Her dark hair was streaked with gray, and her brown eyes held the hard edge of someone who had seen too much combat. At 45, she was one of the youngest admirals in the fleet, promoted after her brilliant tactical victories against the Crixian raiders. "Admiral," her communication officer interrupted her thoughts. "We are receiving a distress signal, long-range subspace transmission. The source identifies as Zalarian." Chen looked up sharply. "Zalarian? I do not recognize that species." "Neither do our databases, ma'am. The signal is repeating on all emergency frequencies. They claim they are under attack and specifically request human assistance." "Put it through." Chen listened to the message, her expression darkening with each word. When it finished, she sat in silence for several seconds, then she touched her communication panel. "Get me Fleet Commander Harrison, Priority Alpha." Within minutes, the holographic form of Fleet Commander Harrison appeared in her ready room. Harrison was a tall man with steel-gray hair and a reputation for aggressive action. He had commanded human forces during the colony wars and had never lost a battle. "Admiral Chen, I assume this is about the Zalarian distress call." "Yes, sir. I recommend immediate deployment. The situation appears to be genocide in progress." Harrison nodded grimly. "Agreed. The Zalarian system is 72 light-years from your current position. You will take Battle Group 7 and render assistance. Rules of engagement are simple. Protect innocent lives by any means necessary." "Understood, sir. What about the Vortons?" "Our intelligence has limited information on the Vorton Dominion. They are a relatively new power that has been expanding aggressively over the past 50 years. They have conquered at least 12 species that we know of. Their tactics are brutal. They do not negotiate." Chen smiled coldly. "Then they will learn what happens when they threatened innocent peoples within range of human forces." The Thunderstrike was a Titan-class battleship, one of humanity's most powerful warships. It stretched 2 kilometers from bow to tail, with armor plating that could withstand nuclear strikes and weapon systems that could reduce moons to rubble. But it was not alone. Battle Group 7 consisted of 15 ships, 3 battleships, 6 heavy cruisers, and 6 destroyers. Captain Marcus Rodriguez commanded the heavy cruiser Vengeance. At 38, he was known for his aggressive tactics and unshakable calm under fire. Lieutenant Commander Jane Park led the destroyer squadron from her ship the Swift Justice. She had earned her reputation fighting pirates in the outer colonies. As the fleet prepared for the jump to hyperspace, Chen addressed her commanders via holographic conference. "We are entering an unknown situation against an enemy we know little about. The Zalarians are peaceful and defenseless. The Vortons have them surrounded and are conducting orbital bombardment. Our mission is simple. Save as many Zalarian lives as possible and eliminate the Vorton threat." "What if the Vortons try to negotiate?" Rodriguez asked. "They had their chance to negotiate before they started killing civilians. We will offer them one opportunity to withdraw. If they refuse, we will demonstrate why humanity does not tolerate genocide." The fleet jumped to hyperspace, traveling faster than light toward the Zalarian system. The journey would take 3 days.
Chen used that time to study everything they knew about the Vortons and to prepare her forces for battle. When they finally dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zalarian system, the sight that greeted them confirmed their worst fears. The Vorton fleet had moved into close orbit around the Zalarian homeworld. Even from this distance, sensors detected massive energy discharges as the Vortons continued their bombardment. Entire cities were burning. "Scan the system," Chen ordered. "I want to know exactly what we are facing." Her tactical officer worked quickly, compiling the data. "Admiral, I am reading 47 Vorton capital ships in orbit around the planet. They appear to be battleship and heavy cruiser class. Their technology level is roughly equivalent to ours, perhaps slightly behind. They are focused on the planet and do not appear to have detected our arrival."
Humanity's answer. War leader Craxon watched the human fleet approach on his tactical display with growing confidence. 47 Vorton warships against 15 human vessels. The odds were overwhelmingly in his favor. He had conquered 12 species using similar numerical advantages, and each time his enemies had either surrendered or been destroyed. These humans would be no different. "All ships, maintain bombardment of the planet," Craxon ordered. "Deploy battle formation Delta 7. We will crush these fools quickly and return to our work." Around the Vorton flagship, the massive warships began moving into their standard attack formation. It was a tactic they had perfected over decades of conquest. Create a wall of overlapping fire that no enemy could penetrate. Their thick armor plating could absorb tremendous damage, and their heavy plasma cannons could tear through most shields and hulls. Subcommander Vekrin approached Craxon's command throne cautiously. The smaller Vorton had survived 3 wars by knowing when to speak, then when to remain silent. "War leader, our intelligence has limited information on human military capabilities. Perhaps we should exercise caution until we understand what we face." Craxon's massive fist slammed down on his armrest. "Caution! We are the Vorton Dominion. We have crushed every species that dared oppose us. These humans are small, weak creatures who have only recently achieved spaceflight. Their 15 ships are nothing against our might." What Craxon did not know was that human intelligence had been studying the Vorton Dominion for years. Every conquest, every battle, every tactical decision had been analyzed and cataloged. The humans knew exactly how the Vortons fought, exactly what their weaknesses were, and exactly how to exploit them. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Thunderstrike, watching her tactical display with the calm focus that had made her famous throughout the fleet. Around her, the bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this moment, prepared for battles against numerically superior forces. "Distance to Vorton fleet?" Admiral Chen asked. 3 million kilometers in closing, Admiral. They are forming a standard wall formation, positioning their heaviest ships at the center." "Predictable," Chen muttered. "Captain Rodriguez, are your missile cruisers ready?" On the heavy cruiser Vengeance, Rodriguez checked his weapon systems one final time. "All missile batteries loaded and targeted, Admiral. We are ready to paint the sky." "Lieutenant Commander Park, destroyer squadron status." From the Swift Justice, Park responded immediately. "All destroyers are in position, Admiral. Stealth systems engaged. They do not see us yet." Chan allowed herself a small smile. The Vortons were about to learn their first lesson about human warfare. Humans did not fight fair. They fought to win. "All ships, execute Operation Thunderbolt. Let us show them what humanity does to those who murder innocents." The human fleet suddenly split into 3 groups. The 3 battleships, including the Thunderstrike, accelerated directly toward the Vorton center. It looked like a suicidal charge, exactly what the Vortons expected, from an outnumbered enemy making a desperate last stand. Craxon laughed as he watched the human battleships approach. "They charge straight at us like mindless beasts. All forward batteries prepare to fire. We will tear them apart before they can close the distance." But the battleships were not the main attack. They were the distraction. While the Vortons focused on the approaching battleships, the human heavy cruisers moved into position above and below the Vorton formation. Their missile bays opened, revealing thousands of advanced warheads. These were not simple explosive missiles. They were smart weapons, equipped with AI targeting systems, adaptive shielding, and the ability to coordinate their attacks with devastating precision. "Fire," Rodriguez ordered calmly. 6,000 missiles launched simultaneously from the human cruisers. The Vorton sensors detected them immediately, but by then, it was too late. The missiles did not follow predictable paths. They dodged, weaved, and adjusted their trajectories in real time, avoiding Vorton point defense fire with ease.
The first wave struck the Vorton fleet from above and below, targeting their weaker top and bottom armor. Explosions blossomed across dozens of Vorton ships. Shields collapsed. Armor plating shattered. Entire sections of warships were torn open to space. "What is happening?" Craxon roared as his flagship shook from multiple impacts. "Where did those missiles come from?" "Above and below us, war leader. The human cruisers flanked us while we were focused on their battleships." Before Craxon could respond, the second phase of the human attack began. The 6 human heavy cruisers, which had been running silent and invisible to Vorton sensors, suddenly appeared at point-blank range within the Vorton formation. They were small and fast, darting between the massive Vorton warships like predators among a herd of prey. Lieutenant Commander Park grinned fiercely as the Swift Justice unleashed its close-range weapons. Railgun rounds traveling at a significant fraction of light speed punched through Vorton hulls like paper. Plasma torpedoes detonated against engine sections, crippling ship after ship. All destroyers, focus on their propulsion and weapon systems. Make them floating debris. Show them what happens when they pick a fight with humanity. The Vorton formation dissolved into chaos. Their wall formation, designed to present a unified front against enemies attacking from one direction, was useless against enemies attacking from all directions simultaneously. Ships collided with each other as they tried to maneuver. Communication channels became flooded with panicked reports. Crews abandoned their positions as sections of their ships vented atmosphere into space. And through it all, the 3 human battleships continued their advance, weapons blazing. Admiral Chen watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The Vortons had made every mistake she had anticipated. They had underestimated human technology, human tactics, and human determination. Now they were paying the price. "Thunderstrike main batteries, target the Vorton flagship. Let us introduce ourselves properly." The Thunderstrike's primary weapons were magnetic acceleration cannons, massive railguns that could launch projectiles at velocities that made them devastating at any range. When all 6 cannons fired simultaneously, the concentrated kinetic energy was equivalent to a small nuclear explosion. The round struck destroyers' pride amidships, penetrating deep into the vessel's core. Secondary explosions rippled through the Vorton flagship as power conduits overloaded and fuel reserves ignited. The massive warship, pride of the Vorton fleet, began breaking apart. Craxon felt his ship dying around him. Gravity failed, plunging the bridge into chaos. Fires raged in the corridors. Half his crew was already dead. For the first time in his long career of conquest, war leader Craxon felt something he had never experienced before: fear. "All ships, retreat," he broadcast on the emergency channel. "Fall back to the outer system. Retreat." But retreating from the human fleet was not as simple as running away. The human destroyers had systematically disabled the propulsion systems of half the Vorton ships. Those vessels were helpless, drifting in space. The ships that could still move found themselves harried by human fighters and bombers that had launched from the battleships. Captain Rodriguez watched his tactical display as Vorton ships tried desperately to escape. "Admiral, multiple Vorton vessels are attempting to break orbit and flee the system. Your orders." Chen's voice was cold and final. "The Vortons came to your world to commit genocide. They showed no mercy to the Zolarians. We will show them exactly the same mercy they showed their victims. Eliminate every Vorton ship in this system. Let none escape to report what happened here." What followed was not a battle. It was an execution. The human fleet moved through the Vorton formation with brutal efficiency. Every Vorton ship that tried to fight was destroyed. Every ship that tried to flee was hunted down. The humans used weapons and tactics the Vortons had never encountered. Electromagnetic pulse weapons that fried electronic systems, gravity mines that crushed ships like tin cans, nanite swarms that ate through armor plating. Within 3 hours of the first missile launch, the battle was over. 47 Vorton warships had entered the Zolarian system confident in their superiority. Not a single one left. The debris field in orbit around Zolaria would remain visible for centuries, a permanent reminder of what happened when someone threatened innocent lives within range of human forces. On the surface of Zolaria, High Counselor Nereth watched the battle through the observation dome of her emergency shelter. She had seen the human fleet arrive, had watched them engage the Vortons, had witnessed the complete destruction of an enemy that seemed invincible. When Admiral Chen's face appeared on the communication screen, Nereth was still struggling to comprehend what she had witnessed. "High Counselor Nereth, I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Fleet. The Vorton threat has been eliminated. Your world is secure." Nereth's bioluminescent patterns flickered through dozen colors as she processed her emotions. "You destroyed them. All of them. 47 warships. In 3 hours. The Vortons came to your world to commit genocide. They showed no mercy to the Zalarians. We will show them exactly the same mercy they showed their victims. But why? Nerith asked. Why did you come? We are strangers to you. We have nothing to offer humanity in exchange for your help. Chen's expression softened slightly. High Counselor, my people have a saying. We judge ourselves not by how we treat our friends, but by how we protect those who cannot protect themselves. You called for help. We answered. That is what humanity does. Over the following days, the human fleet assisted in recovery operations. Medical teams treated wounded Zalarians, engineers helped repair damaged infrastructure, Marines provided security as the Zalarian people began rebuilding their shattered cities. The Zalarian people learned that humans were not the mysterious warriors of rumor. They were doctors and engineers, scientists and teachers who'd simply decided that genocide was unacceptable anywhere in the galaxy. In the Grand Assembly, now partially rebuilt, Nerith addressed her people alongside Admiral Chen. Today we stand in the ruins of our civilization, but we are alive. We are alive because one species in this vast galaxy heard our cry for help and decided that our lives mattered. The human people have shown us that strength is not just about weapons and warships. Strength is about standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. Chen stood and addressed the assembled Zalarians. My government has authorized me to extend an offer of alliance to your people. We cannot undo what the Vortons did. We cannot bring back those who were lost. But we can ensure it never happens again. If you wish, humanity will help you rebuild. We will help